Imagine that tomorrow, your company's bank account gets frozen. Nobody can pay salaries, vendors, or bills until some distant board meeting resolves a dispute. Panic, right? That's essentially what's happening now in the United States. The federal government has run out of funding, so large parts of it are furloughed, forced to stop operations. Workers won't be paid, at least temporarily, and contracts stall until Congress figures out a deal. Today, we'll use that shutdown as a lens to explain a core concept: why government funding, deficits, and shutdown risk matter for the broader economy, and why even non-Washington companies should care. Let's start with basic mechanics. Governments, like corporations, need money to operate, pay staff, run programs, procure goods and services. In the US, that money comes from two sources. 1. Tax revenues, fees, etc. 2. Borrowing, issuing debt when revenues don't cover expenses. Congress must pass appropriations bills that allocate how much each agency or program can spend each fiscal year. If Congress fails to pass those by the deadline, the funding tap is turned off. That is, many parts of government stop operating. That is a government shutdown. A shutdown is not the same as a default on debt, like failure to repay bondholders, but it is a signal that political risk is high and it causes drag on economic growth. From a macro perspective, there are a few key channels. Lost output. Furloughed workers due pending projects mean parts of the economy go idle. Analysts estimate the U.S. could lose $7 to $15 billion of GDP per week during this shutdown. Delays and uncertainty. Firms that rely on government contracts, regulatory approvals, e.g. from the SEC, or data releases see delays. Confidence and financial markets. Investors see political dysfunction and may demand higher risk premia. Back payments, catch-up costs. Once the shutdown ends, some payments get backdated, causing a surge in cash flows that distorts shorter-term dynamics. In short, a shutdown is like applying the handbrake to a large economy. Slowdowns ripple outward. Now imagine Netflix just forgets to charge your credit card. Your account gets frozen, but your family still expects Friday movie night. The kids are mad, the popcorn's already popped, and you're scrambling to explain why everyone's staring at a blank TV. That's what a shutdown feels like. The services didn't disappear. The system just isn't allowed to turn them on until the payment issue is resolved. And the effects ripple out. Employees at Netflix get furloughed. The people who make shows stop producing. Subscribers lose confidence and start looking elsewhere for entertainment or delay plans. The kicker? When Netflix finally charges your card again, the backlog of shows, payments, and complaints is so big that it takes weeks to catch up. Some customers have already left. Some costs are permanent. That's how investors and businesses view a shutdown. Not just an embarrassing hiccup, but a real drag on trust, productivity, and growth. Now map that to the scale of the U.S. Treasury. For example, the Securities and Exchange Commission has furloughed over 90% of its staff in this shutdown, leaving minimal capacity for new securities filings or approvals. Federal agencies that fund scientific research, grants, or regulation may stop, causing startups or research firms to freeze projects. The White House memo warns that consumer spending could drop $30 billion in a month of shutdown, partly because federal workers lose income. So even if you're not American, if your multinational client depends on U.S. regulatory approvals or supply chains tied to government projects, you feel the effects. A government shutdown is a massive self-inflicted disruption. It pauses public spending, delays contracts, erodes confidence, and it acts like a drag on growth that even private firms must bear the cost of. Key points to remember. Governments fund operations via revenue plus borrowing, but must get legal appropriation to spend. A lapse in funding triggers a shutdown, not just a pause. Many activities halt. The broader economy feels it via lost output, delays, and increased uncertainty. When it ends, some costs are recovered, but others, like investor confidence or sunk project delays, may linger. And if you want more finance explained without the boring jargon, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll keep breaking down billion USD moves into plain English.